Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Guys, hope you had a great weekend. How we doing today?
Y'all over. Y'all gonna win a preseason game?
Yeah, my Cowboys fell to 0-3 on Saturday night, which means we're just going to get them all out of our system. We need to go 0-4 so that we can then launch 12-5 in the regular season, as I have predicted, 12-5. I stand by it. Unless I don't have a quarterback. That's what we'll know, yeah.
Those diet dudes are not going to stand by it. That's what we got there.
I think that's okay. Get the L's out of the way now. It's a good point. Right now, you don't have your franchise guy, and we begin with the latest surrounding Dak Prescott. The Cowboys are saying they do expect Dak to be ready for their season opener, but now the question is just how ready will their franchise quarterback be? According to the latest report, Dak is, quote, not fully back, but he may not be back all season long. Dak warmed up by throwing around 50 passes before their game against the Texans over the weekend, and Jerry Jones said that if the opener had been over the weekend, he wouldn't have been concerned about Dak's status. So, Shannon, how worried should the Cowboys be about Dak?
Skip, I believe they should be concerned, and I believe they are concerned. Dak originally hurt this shoulder on July 28th. They told the world it was only going to be 2 or 3 days. Now they're telling us Dak's going to be ready for September 9th. How did 2 to 3 days turn into 5 to 6 weeks? So I believe the injury was more serious than they led us to believe. I believe they're more concerned than they're leading us to believe because, Skip, anytime you have a quarterback that's making $40 million, he's a right-handed quarterback, and he's hurting on his right side in that shoulder, there is cause for concern.
He's actually making $75 million this year.
This year, making $75
Don't shortchange my man, Dak.
So I do believe, Skip, look, if there's a situation where I'm sure the Cowboys would have loved to get Dak some work, it's been 11 months. So the first time Dak is going to have somebody possibly hit that ankle, have someone land on that shoulder, is September 9th against the reigning Super Bowl champs who just placed 7 guys on the top 100 team. I don't know, that might be a record or something. It's hard for me to believe that somebody has had more than 7 players on the top 100, and that's what they did. And a lot of those guys were on the defensive side of the football. Skip, look, I get it. You know, you don't want to, sound the alarm bells. You don't want to have your fan base like, man, what's going on? What's really going on? But Skip, Dak was more injured than they let on, and I'm watching him throw, Skip. He's not going to be able to throw like that in the game. You know that, and I know that. Normally, and I can just speak to when we went through a workout with John, we ran the routes full speed. He took his depth and threw the ball like he was going to actually throw it in the game, even though we weren't going to play in that preseason game. So everything was going to be like it was live. Look at that. We're going to see. I'm going to see if it's going to be able to, how it's going to be looking September 9th. Because I can assure you, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers mean business, Skip. They're out to show they want to repeat. They want to show that was not a fluke. What they did in the playoffs was not an anomaly, and this is the standard now. This is the new standard. So they'll be ready to play. But I'm concerned. I believe Dak and the Cowboys are concerned because, Skip, normally what happens? You limp into the season, you limp out of it. So we'll see how this thing plays out. But Dak was more injured than they led us to believe. And Troy Aikman uttered that.
He did.
On the 5th of August because he said, I believe Dak is more injured than the Cowboys are letting on.
He was first to market with that and first to the bank with that.
And it seems like he was spot on with that.
He was spot on with that. So, leave it to my Dallas Cowboys to have the best quarterback soap opera in all of the National Football League going into the 2021 season, right on schedule for Hard Knocks. If I did not know better, I would say that Jerry Jones somehow fabricated, created, fictionalized this storyline just to ensure that Hard Knocks had the greatest ratings in the history of Hard Knocks this year. I don't think they fabricated it, but it's a beautiful storyline for Hard Knocks. And now I cannot wait until tomorrow night for episode 3 of Hard Knocks to learn more about inside Dak's mysterious arm injury.
Right.
I still don't know exactly what it is. Is it a lat muscle pull or a strain or a tear? First reported as a tear. And then it got downgraded to just a strain. And now it's downgraded to all the way to September 9th. Probably okay, should be okay. Cowboys are beating the drums like, oh, he's ready to roll.
Might not be 100%.
Might not be 100%. And then Adam Schefter's reporting he might not be all the way back for September 9th. And Adam added, and you know Adam as well as I do, and he's really good at what he does. And he added, he might not be all the way back all year. Gil Brandt had a big conversation with Dak Prescott last week at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Gil Brandt, the once upon a time draft master of the Dallas Cowboys, now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And his conclusion was he might not be 100% all year long.
Right.
What? I'm going to say it one more time. I have never, ever in all my many years covering pro football, the sport that you played at the highest of levels, I have never heard of a quarterback suffering this injury. I've heard of bicep tears. I've heard of tired arm or dead arm in camp, but it does not last or linger. It's some freakish muscle pull that apparently came because he was protecting his lower body and trying to throw completely using his upper body, trying to torso turn into it and go all arm.
Right.
And we saw early in episode 1 of Hard Knocks, he was throwing rockets at those bags that they throw at that are mounted up on the walls that they try to throw into the pockets, and he was very accurate.
Wouldn't it cause you some concern if your quarterback has an injury that no other quarterback that we can think of on record has ever had, and we had to go outside to get consultation on said injury? Wouldn't that cause you some concern?
Yeah, according to our man Jake Glazer, that they went to both the Texas Rangers and the New York Yankees because they diagnosed it as more of a baseball type injury.
Correct.
Baseball injury. I've never heard of it before.
Right.
And it remains a little mysterious to me. What exactly is it and why is it lingering? So now let's step back and think about what just happened. Dak Prescott, coming off a career-threatening ankle injury, a compound fracture of his ankle that required, according to Dak in episode 1 of Hard Knocks, a second surgery to get it right. That Dak Prescott soon took Jerry Jones to the cleaners and then to the bank for a grand total of $75 million this year coming off that. I was scared enough about that. And just to frame this, I'll use my least favorite stat of all. Dak Prescott in his last 17 starts for my Dallas Cowboys is 6-11. Is that good? 6-11? No. Again, is it all his fault? Absolutely not. But I keep hearing he was on a record pace, record passing yardage pace last year. They were lucky in those first 4 games. They weren't 0-4.
He was on a record losing pace, too.
It was. And as Shannon Sharpe dismissed most of it, it was all empty calories because they fell so woefully behind, especially against Atlanta and Cleveland at home, that he threw for record-type yardage in the fourth quarter, all in vain, except they did finally pull off the watermelon onside against Atlanta to pull that one out.
Correct.
40-39. That happened to be the single worst pass defense in the history of pro football that he did that against that day at home against Atlanta. And you know the rest of the story. Then he was very unfortunately hurt in game number 5 against the Giants. It took Andy Dalton to pull that game out to bring them back to 2-3 at that point. And the rest of the year was pretty much an abomination.
Right.
All right. So now that guy, I had to watch the highlights or lowlights of him on Saturday night, not playing in a preseason game because he's played in 0 preseason games, as you know. But we're still, it seems like the new way of the league this year with only 3 preseason games is let's just play our quarterbacks in joint scrimmages against another team where we know we can protect them better because you can say he's off limits during this scrimmage, right?
Yes.
You can sort of touch him if you go by him, but you can't hit him at all, right? In a joint scrimmage, or there will be yet another joint scrimmage fight.
You're right.
Okay, so my point is, if you told me Dak got to play a little bit in a joint scrimmage against, let's say, the Rams, he's played in 0.
0.
So he's had no sort of live action at all this entire preseason, and it's a done deal. He is not going to play in game number 4.
Skip, he hasn't even played in the team setting because remember, he got hurt before they even put the pads on.
That's what we got to see it live at Hard Knocks. We saw it happen, right?
Skip, you mentioned a lingering injury. What is this? What if this is not a lingering injury? What if he was hurt more serious than thought, and the injury is progressing just like we thought it would? You use the term lingering. What if he was just more hurt than they let on, and they're trying to lead us to believe that this is lingering? Because for me, what struck me as odd is that I haven't heard, you haven't heard, you covered the game longer than I played the game, and I haven't heard, I've called a few people, they've never heard of this injury. So normally, it's going to come, anytime I hear something, and Doc is like, well, hold on, you play what? I've never seen this injury in a football player. And that's what you have? So let's go outside. Let's go to somebody that normally sees this injury. Athletic trainers that in baseball, they see guys with shoulder problems, and a lot of times it comes from them not driving their legs also. But also, Skip, a lot of different torque. They got to spin the ball a lot of different ways to get a lot of two-seam, four-seam, change up, slide a curve, but not whatever.
And remember, every pass should be delivered the exact same way, where you turn your thumb underneath so that the ball will spiral this way, right? And it's the more pure way to throw an object is to throw it that way, right?
Correct.
It's why you don't see arm injuries. When have you ever heard of Tommy John surgery for an NFL quarterback? You don't hear of it because they don't throw curveballs.
Correct.
At least not intentionally. Some of them throw them.
Yeah, it's very rarely you see a quarterback. I think Ben had an elbow, but normally it's labrums, it's rotator cuffs. That's what quarterback's injury, and a lot of times
those are often from contact.
From falling on somebody.
Yes, not from throwing.
Yeah. Or he's trying to throw forward, skipping, somebody pulls his arm back, and you get the labrum tear.
Okay, so now, to your point, I'm having to deal with the nightmarish scenario of Dak Prescott being kind of weirdly iffy, even though Jerry said the other night, if we were playing Tampa at Tampa tonight, I'd feel great about it. Well, yeah, easy for you to say, but I'm not buying it because it sounds like a lot of ringmaster hocus pocus. It feels like a lot of P.T. Barnum trying to sell us Dak. But now you get thrown into the fire on opening Thursday night on a solo NFL stage against not only the defending champs, but the team I think should be a prohibitive favorite in large part beyond Tom Brady because of what was the hottest defense in the league at the end of the year last year. And it got nothing but a little older and wiser to me because it all came back. They went to New Orleans and they chewed up Drew Brees and they spat him out right into retirement. They went up to Aaron Rodgers in the fourth quarter. They shut him down. They went to obviously the Super Bowl. It was played in their own stadium, but they did a pass rush number on poor Patrick Mahomes, who's never had a longer day in his life than he had that day, right? Okay, that's the defense that Dak Prescott has to go against on opening night. It's almost unfair. It starts to feel like, well, you should just forfeit that game, right?
They should.
Right? Okay, so now to the positives of what I saw Saturday night. You want to talk about a sight for sore eyes? Guess who started the game in my offensive line on Saturday night? Do you remember a guy named Tyron Smith? He started on Saturday night at left tackle. Do you remember a guy named Zach Martin?
Yes.
He started at right guard. Do you remember a guy named Lyle Collins? He started at right tackle. If they can start and stay starting the rest of the year, I got a chance. Even with a wounded quarterback, I got a chance.
And why did they start, Skip? Because they missed the majority of the last season. So you don't want the guy's first action to come back in live action against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But that's what you want for your quarterback. You want him having not played in 11 months, his first action, his first time possibly getting hit, his first time of having people around his feet or landing on him is in an actual game where you put Tyron Smith, you put Zach Martin, you put Lyle Collins in an actual game. A preseason game.
Okay, I got it. But I still believe lots left in all three tanks. But to your point, they have not been able to stay later career healthy. If they could, if it's like glass half full, if they stay healthy, I got a chance. But from what I've seen of my quote unquote backup quarterbacks, Garrett Gilbert and Cooper Rush, although Cooper Rush,
I think Cooper Rush might have took the lead.
I think he did take the lead. And Ben DiNucci is just like, oh, my God.
He's bad.
He's bad. B-A-D, that's his initials, and he just looks bad. I like him, and he's starting to become a little bit of a novelty star on Hard Knocks as a chess player. But they don't have. Andy Dalton was a godsend last year, and yet even Andy Dalton, with none of those three up front blocking for him, he's got little to no shot, right? So then Mike McCarthy, who's turned into a quote machine now that he's been criticized for his lack of motivational speaking skills on Hard Knocks, he's just been blurting out big, bad quotes after games. And what I heard from him the other night was, number one, he says he's never seen a side of the ball get flipped faster than the Cowboys' defense was flipped in the offseason, meaning going from all-time worst, it was just not all-time worst, but all-time bad. It was one of the worst, to respectable. He's saying just overnight it flipped to respectable. I'm going to give him respectable. I'm seeing flashes. Every time I watch the defense, somebody else jumps off my screen, starting with your man, Micah Parsons.
Yes, but Skip, here's the thing. It's hard for me to say how good they actually are when team. We do. I think we can come to the conclusion that the Texans aren't going to be very good.
I think they're decent on defense. Decent.
I don't know, Skip. But we know they're not going to be decent on offense. And that's the side of the ball that Mike McCarthy was crowing about, was his defense going up against that offense when we know they're not going to be that good. And that's being nice. Skip, I think the thing is, I've seen two guys. I like the Armstrong kid. I think he's shown flashes.
Dorrance Armstrong. As a pass
and Micah Parsons is legit. He's just like I thought he would be. I mean, for someone his size, he doesn't look as big as he is. He's like 240, 245. He looked like a 225, 230 with the way that he moves.
Right. Jabril Cox, their other linebacker that they took as a rookie.
Right.
He is legit. Trust me. He's going to fight harder and harder for playing time. And they moved Keanu Neal into what I think is his God-given rightful place as a position as a linebacker. And now McCarthy's saying after the game, I've never had comfort like we have right now at linebacker. He said, I don't know if I've ever been part of a linebacker group on any team I've ever been with, and I'm not trying to disrespect anyone, to have the depth of veteran experience from top to bottom that we have right now.
Right.
Well, remember, I thought I had Jalen Smith and the Wolf Hunter, Leighton Vander Esch. I thought I had two Pro Bowl linebackers, and all of a sudden, thanks to this group, I'm not sure they're going to play. Backups. Seriously. No, seriously. Well, that's a great thing. If you can tell me that they're pushed to the bench by this group, I will take that. And then the defensive line, obviously it's going to depend on DeMarcus on one end and Randy Gregory. And listen, if Randy Gregory stays straight and so far so good, he's got Pro Bowl potential. He could have a breakout Pro Bowl season. And then that kid Osa that they drafted from UCLA, because Neville Gallimore went down with the elbow injury. But Osa, every time I look up, he's in the middle of the backfield doing something, and they had so much depth, and Watkins and Brent Urban and Basham. They're much better there. And then at safety, Kazee and Malik Hooker. Malik Hooker, once upon a time, was really good. And they got him for a song, basically. And so he'll be back there. And obviously, they're just like Diggs and Anthony Brown, are at least they're respectable at the corners, along with Jordan Lewis. So I just gave you the blueprint for a defense. It's got to be better than it was last year.
But that's the thing, Skip. That's not really saying much, saying they're going to be better than what they were last year when they were historically worse. I don't know. That was the second worst defense in Cowboy history, only worse by the 1960.
Yeah, which was expansion.
With the expansion Cowboy. So for them to be better, that's not saying much. How much better? Can they stop the run? They were 28th in one and 23rd in another category. Can they stop the run?
I think with that linebacking core, you got a shot. Do I think they're going to dominate? No, I don't. But they have to be 50% better than they were last year. And if they can be that, and they can even achieve respectable on defense, if Dak is half of what I think he could be, then they're going to be a pretty good football team.
Well, we're going to find out a lot about that defense early on, because this is what we know about Tampa. As the season progressed, especially the last 7, 8, 9 games leading into the Super Bowl, that offensive line was as good as they had in the National Football League. So you're going to get an opportunity to see early on, and they're going to want to run the football with Leonard Fournette, with Rojo. So it's going to be very, very interesting.
You doubt that Zeke can have a bounce-back year at barely age 26 because you've seen enough over the first, 5 years that it's just declining.
1,200 carries, Skip. That's a lot of carries.
If he could have even a semblance of a bounce-back. If he could be 75% of rookie Zeke, we got a shot.
Okay.
Tony Pollard looked good the other night, but he always looks good to me.
Right.
Do I think he can be a Pro Bowl? No, I don't think he can be a Pro Bowl back. Can he be respectable?
As long as you leave him in that role, let him be splash. Skip, don't try and give him 20 carries. That's not what he is. He's a guy comes in, catches a screen, gets a flat route, can hit a quick run, some things of that nature. Zeke is your bell cow back. Let Pollard come in and spell him, and he can give you that. But if you think, like, oh, man, he better than Zeke, let me start feeding him the ball. That's not what he is.
So just when I was getting semi-excited about my defense, I hear on Saturday night that my new defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, is on the COVID list.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a great thing either.
Well, Joe Vitt called a good game, Skip.
Did he?
I mean, Joe Vitt's been around a very, very long time.
I got it. But it just seemed funny to me. Here's your new guy, your new lightning rod coordinator, and, he's on the COVID list.
And the best the defense has looked in the preseason was Saturday night. When he didn't call play. But,
well, maybe that's the key right there. I don't know.
I don't think Joe Vitt's going to be calling games moving forward. I think once Dan Quinn comes off the COVID list, he's going to be back to calling plays.
So all I know is I hope this entire season does not get the label of nothing but hard knocks for the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you think?
Dak, it's all predicated on Dak, Skip. You better hope that shoulder. You keep throwing out percentage, 65, 75.
They said he threw 50 balls before the game the other night, but he looked like he had the arm strength of Peyton Manning after his neck surgery, right? You just throwing flutter balls.
And then they say, well, he was 51 or 52. He better be 51 or 52 going half speed against air. It should have been 52 or 52.
It has come to this.
See?
No mercy.
Trey Lance continues to show promise in his preseason playing time with the 49ers. And last night, the rookie quarterback went 8 of 14 for 102 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And after the game, Kyle Shanahan said the starting quarterback situation is similar to the start of camp with Jimmy G being under center, but also wouldn't commit to naming a Week 1 starter. So, Shannon, should Trey start Week 1?
No, I don't think he should. I don't think he's quite ready there yet, Skip. I just think Jimmy G gives them the best opportunity because I believe they're a team that thinks they can contend. They're in a very, very tough division. The quarterback play is excellent in that division. You got Russell Wilson, you got Matthew Stafford, you got Kyler Murray, who did not look good Saturday night, Skip, and hadn't looked good since he had that injury to his ribs last season.
By the way, Mahomes didn't look much better, but go ahead.
Mahomes, don't worry about Mahomes, boy. He got something for you-know-who.
Yeah.
But, Skip, look, I just think the thing is, the guy only played, first of all, he only started one full season. He started one game last year. It wasn't like a situation where Justin Fields got 8-9 games in. It wasn't a situation like Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence. These guys, Zach Wilson, these guys played. Trey Lance played one game last season, and then he had one other season as a starter. So for me, Skip, I just think the thing is that Jimmy G gives them now to say this last past a month in which he's not in there on the center. I'm not even willing to go that far, Skip. I'm going to say probably 2 or 3 games, maybe the first month of the season, and then you're probably going to see Trey Lance. But at some of the things that I saw Saturday night caused me some concern, even though it's a preseason game. Even though Chargers are not playing their starters, the holding on to the ball for me, Skip, is cause for concern because I believe there's a situation. Look at this, Skip. Now, there's nothing there. Well, he throws that was an out route, what we call an out route, Skip, and he had the guy wide open. Just take it. Okay. You got your running back. Just dump the ball to your running back right there coming in your picture. Just dump it to him. And I think sometimes you try to make plays, and you can get away with that in college. And occasionally in the NFL, you see guys who hold the ball and spin, and you see Mahomes and Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson can get away. But more times than not, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for somebody to get the ball out, and they almost swiped and got it out there. So for me, Skip, I believe Jimmy G is going to start the season. Do I believe Jimmy G is going to finish the season? No. Do I believe Jimmy G will make it halfway through the season? I don't. But I just believe that Jimmy G will start the season for the first 2, 3, maybe 4 games, and then Trey Lance is going to bring it home.
Okay. So is it fair to say that you believe that Kyle Shanahan and company, the whole, obviously John and the whole 49ers management, is it fair to say that they have lost faith in Jimmy Garoppolo?
Well, they traded next year's pick.
Thank you.
So
just for the record, is it fair to say you have lost a lot of faith in Jimmy G?
Skip, you know I'm a big believer. You got to stay healthy. He just can't stay healthy, and then he turns the ball over a lot of times when he is healthy.
Okay, so is it possible that in San Francisco that it is soured to the point in the locker room where they believe that Jimmy is just sort of snake bitten, like what can go wrong will go wrong with him, and that Jimmy is starting to feel, because he seems like a good kid, he's still a kid to me, it's like it's seeping into his psyche that, well, they don't really completely believe in me, so I don't completely believe in me either. Right? That's what I'm seeing from his body language. Okay, given all that, to me, at some point, Kyle Shanahan, just because I believe strongly enough in Kyle, you need to plunge and go ahead and throw this kid into the fire, because I went on record before the draft. I said, this young man has the highest upside just because he is so big, strong, powerful, quick and fast, both, and he has a huge arm. He has the biggest arm of anybody in the draft to me, so hence highest upside. Intangibly, he has huge high upside because we talk about gym rats. He's a film rat, too. You know, he likes to break tape down in the Brady Payton fashion.
Right.
You know, he enjoys spending nights watching tape, and that's what he does for a living. So I think Kyle can work with that. But to your first point was, he had 17 total starts in college football, and they all came for North Dakota State.
Right.
Well, that's not exactly the best avenue to the National Football League, right? Because last year they played one game because of COVID that he played. They played a spring schedule, but he didn't participate. So he played one college football game last year, and now he's getting thrown into fire after fire in NFL preseason games with a whole lot of heat on him because he knows he has sort of a 50-50 opportunity. That's the way Kyle's presented it, to beat out Jimmy G. So to me, the first two games are at Lions and at Eagles. For this team, it's loaded enough. They can win those games, and I believe they could win them with Trey Lance at quarterback. And then it starts, and it is rough because they got Green Bay on a Sunday night, and then they got Seahawks, and then at Arizona, and then Indy. And
you know the Colts bring a defense.
I know. I got it. And then at Chicago, and then Arizona comes there. It's just going to get nothing but harder. I believe this kid can stand up to that kind of heat and that kind of fire and that kind of a fire test. And what I saw last night was he was a little overamped early, but he needed a little bit of help from veteran receivers. And if we could see the first two plays, there's a 3rd and 4 pass to Sanu, and it's a rocket. And yet Sanu has to, if you get both hands, Shannon Sharpe's going to catch that ball.
That's Debo. That was Debo saying.
Was that Debo? I thought that was Sanu. Okay. And then the other one's to Sanu.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm sorry, that's right. That's the one that went right off his hands. But there are two veteran receivers who get two hands on the football, and you have to help the kid a little bit confidence-wise. Just build him up. You just got to snatch it out of the air. But it's coming. It's got some Elway on it.
Yeah,
it's got
he's a little amped, and so the ball's going to be... Normally when guys get amped, Skip, the ball's going to sail a little high, and it's going to come with a little bit more mustard than it normally would have on it. But I think the thing is Jimmy G is 24-8 as a starter. He took a team to a Super Bowl. And if they didn't have Jimmy G... Skip, I believe the situation in San Francisco is different than the situation in Chicago. Then that's what I believe. I believe those are two entirely different situations. I believe Justin Fields probably should start. But for whatever reason, Matt Nagy is hell-bent, and Andy Dalton feels like he's owed something. This is my time. Bro, your time was in Cincinnati. Your time's up. Or anywhere else you go. You're back up. I believe that they had removed Jimmy G, cleared the decks for him, like they did the kid in Zach Wilson. Skip, they cleared the deck.
They did.
You out of here.
It's not his to lose. It's just his.
It's his.
Right.
Urban keeps saying, well, we're going to determine who's going to be the starting quarterback. Gardner Minshew is not starting out there opening. He's not trotting out there with the number ones on opening day. That's not happening.
Okay. And we'll get to see them tonight.
We get to see them tonight. So I believe if the 49ers really wanted Trey Lance to start and not make this a more difficult decision that it needed to be, just go ahead and move on without Jimmy. You could have traded him.
Okay. So now I'm gonna show you 4 plays as to why I believe that Trey Lance should start on opening day.
Okay.
And the first one comes after all that overamped play that we saw. and he throws a sweet touch ball to my man Trent Sherfield from Vanderbilt University. They're everywhere in the NFL.
No, they're not.
Vanderbilt taking over the NFL. That worked. And then here's a rocket shot to Sanu for a touchdown. That'll work. And then here is a scramble. Watch, this is what you're going to see more and more of. Obviously, you got to get down. You got to get down. You can't take too much punishment. Right. He's difficult to stop. You could see the North Dakota State highlights. He just was difficult to stop. And that's just a rocket shot.
That was a great throw.
Right, to Travis Benjamin. Yeah. And you can see the velocity. You can see the accuracy when he plants and fires, albeit against third and fourth stringers. Yeah. I get it. Right. I give you all of the above. My eye test says that kid can play. And the backstop for that kid is named Kyle Shanahan. If anybody can prop up a young quarterback and get him through the night of the first couple of games on the road, Kyle Shanahan could. Don't you believe in Kyle?
Yeah, I do. I do believe in Kyle, Skip. And I believe if they had Detroit and Philly at home, you'd probably be right. You probably would start the kid. But since it's on the road, I believe they're going to start Jimmy G, and I believe Jimmy G makes it at least to week 4. I think he's going to start against the Packers and the Seahawks.
To me, I don't get the mindset of, we'll go with Trey in Game 5. Well, why wouldn't you? If you're going to go with him in Game 5, just go with him in Game 1. Why would you do that to your football team?
Because, Skip, look.
What if Jimmy G does get you to 4-0?
You ain't going to Trey Lance.
No.
Skip, that's what you're really hoping. I mean, Skip, I know Kyle is saying the kid's going to play and we want him to play. But all things being equal, we would like to have a Patrick Mahomes situation. We would like to have an Aaron Rodgers situation. We would like to have one of these situations where the guy get a year to learn, or he gets 7-8 games like a Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Hopefully he get a situation to learn. Josh Allen was going to probably not play as early as he did, but somehow they went to Peterman. And we know what happened out here, Skip. He had the worst day in the history of a quarterback when he threw 5 picks, and a couple of them probably got returned.
Yep.
And so they went to Josh Allen a lot. And guess what? If Jimmy G goes to Detroit and stinks it up, they're going to go to this kid probably a lot sooner than they anticipated. I can see him going to Philly. They probably won't come home. They'll probably stay on the East Coast, Skip, because both games are on the East Coast.
Yep.
They would probably just stay there, practice somewhere in Detroit, and then just going down to Philly. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, Skip. Play Detroit, fly all the way back across the West Coast, and then turn around and go way back cross country on a Friday. Nah, I don't see that happening.
I could make a case that it'll be easier for him to start on the road than at home. Just less pressure. You don't have to sort of live up to the standing ovation you're going to get when you first trot out on the field. That's just me. I think this kid is built to take it. I believe that the head coach is built to take it for him. And the better question is, what if Trey Lance could start 4-0? I mean, what if you did? Then would you not be off to the races?
4-0. Packers, Seahawks, sprinkle in there.
It's tough. No, I got it. I think this team is good enough. And remember, what do you always tell me? And what do we always say? Quarterback's best friend is the running game.
Yep.
Who just has it every year? They just run the football. And it's not that they have stars at running back, although they have some very good ones. But it's the scheme is the star, right?
Yes.
And in part, that's what happened to you under Mike Shanahan.
Yes.
The scheme worked with all your cutbacks.
They weren't drafting first-round draft picks. They got TD. They got Orlando, sixth round.
Yep.
Orlando's Gary, things of that nature, Skip. Yeah. Bobby Turner, who's the running back coach, he's always going to be with Kyle Shanahan. He followed him from Denver to Washington and was with Kyle. When Kyle was in Houston, it was with Kyle when he was in Atlanta, and followed him to San Francisco. It's a specific type of back that you need. He needs to understand everything is not meant to be a home run. You get one cut, you put your foot in the dirt, and you get downhill.
You got it. And remember, this quarterback, you can call a few runs for.
Oh, yeah.
You can. And that will make that running attack even more lethal and difficult to anticipate and defend.
But if you wanted that, Skip, why would you hold on to Jimmy G? You could have got something for him, I believe. Why not just make it easier? Just clear the decks for him.
I'm just going on my eye test in preseason because you don't know what you're going to get from Trey Lance in the preseason games.
Right.
I'm seeing enough that I say he can start and he can play and he can endure. And you can win with him at quarterback.
I'm going to go. I still say Jimmy G starts opening week. You go with Trey.
I'm going
Jimmy.
Trey Lance. Thank you.
Jimmy G.
All right. Well, we only have a couple more days, really, to figure that out. We will see how it goes. But over the weekend, we also watched this in his 72nd professional fight. Manny Pacquiao came up short over the weekend against Yordenis Ugás, and it could have been the last we see of Pacquiao in the ring. The 42-year-old said after the match, quote, "In my heart, I want to continue to fight, but I have to consider also my body." Shannon, should that be his last fight?
Yeah, Skip, it should be over. Because as we start to age our reflexes, Pacquiao started getting hit with shots he would have never got hit with early in his career, Skip, or say 5 years ago. But as we start to age, the reflexes just aren't there. And so you can't. Skip, and let me tell you something about sports. Collision sports, basketball, combat sports, MMA, boxing, those aren't sports that you think about retiring. You retire. Because you don't have the luxury. It's not like, you know what, I've been doing this job for 25 years. You know what, I might go another year. Okay, fine. People aren't trying to take your head off. People aren't kicking you, punching you in your face in MMA or throwing combos in boxing. These are not sports that you think about retiring in because you can get seriously, seriously hurt. And you probably want to walk away a fight or two earlier as opposed to a fight or two late. Skip, there's nothing else for Manny Pacquiao to prove. He's an 8-division champ, from flyweight all the way to junior middleweight, Skip. So he went from like 112 all the way to 154. He's a 4-time welterweight champ. He's a champ in 4 different decades. Nobody can say that. Nobody can say. And you're probably never going to see another 8-division champ. And he wiped it out, Skip. So I don't really know what else he has to prove. Now it's time to go take on Durante for president of the Philippines.
Yep.
That's something that you can do, and hopefully he don't make you disappear, but that's something that could possibly save you as opposed to getting in the ring. Skip, and let it go, Skip. He getting hit with shots, Skip. You know Pacquiao better than that. You know. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, this guy, Pacquiao got the guy out of there. But for 42, about to be 43, Skip, it's time to let it go. I mean, I get it. He loves fighting, and most guys that do something, they love what they do. But it's time to let this go, Pacquiao, before you get seriously hurt, man. I just felt bad for him taking the shots that he was taking. He threw a lot of punches, Skip. And another thing, when you as an Asian fighter, the accuracy in which you throw those punches with. He threw a bunch of punches. Guy was just teeing off on him, just to his body, combo to it, because Pacquiao's a southpaw, straight right, lead right. Let it go, Pacquiao. Let it go, Manny.
Okay, I'm going to remind everyone that on July 2nd of 2017, more than 4 years ago, I sat in my living room and I watched Manny Pacquiao lose to somebody named Jeff Horn from Australia.
Yeah.
You remember this?
Yeah, I do.
And
I thought he beat him, though.
Did you?
Yeah,
I thought he lost. And I tweeted that I thought he lost. And a lot of people said that day, more than 4 years ago, Manny, hang him up.
Right.
Give it up.
Right.
Just stop. You're embarrassing yourself. And obviously, he came all the way back to a fight that Ernestine and I attended in Las Vegas a couple of years back, and he beat Keith Thurman, and it was a masterpiece of a fight by a guy who was at that point, 40, right at 40. And it was a spectacle to behold. So I can't write Manny completely off because he's Brady-esque to me. He still loves to compete, just absolutely lives for and loves to compete, and he keeps himself in shape. He's one of those guys, he doesn't obviously gain weight because he's had a hard time keeping weight on, right?
But the difference is, Skip, Brady has guys protecting him, and Brady can get rid of the ball. You in the ring by yourself.
Okay, now let's go to Saturday night. I believe that Ugás deserves much more credit than he actually got because, to me, I don't know what your eye test told you, but Ugás just looked so much bigger.
He's a
so
much bigger
longer,
man.
so much stronger.
Right.
It looked like he was in a different weight class to me, and I don't understand
it. It looked like he should be at a junior middleweight, the 154. He should move up, maybe challenge Charlo.
Yeah.
But Manny...
Okay, and not only that, but Ugás is 35 years old, and he has been through the wars.
Yes.
And he was the reigning welterweight, super welterweight champion.
Right.
And the point was, he was too long and strong for Manny, and he was also too skilled and smart for Manny because he just went peekaboo the whole fight. He just stayed right here, and Manny threw a whole lot of punches that hit nothing but leather, right?
Yep.
And yet Manny, this is what got me about it, Manny threw 815 punches in the fight to a grand total of 405 for Ugás.
Right.
815 to 405?
Right.
That's 410 more punches. Manny was giving you as honest a day's or night's work as he could give you. He was giving you everything he had left, but he was hitting too much leather.
Right.
When Ugás decided to fire, he would fire and score.
Right.
And he obviously opened two smallish cuts. There was
had some mouses up on his eyes.
But he needed 5 stitches and 3 stitches to close the 2 cuts, and he had a little bit of a welt on his forehead. So he took a little bit of punishment. Did you ever see him wobble or buckle? I didn't see him wobble or buckle the whole time. Did you ever say, uh-oh, he's in danger of... Nope, I never thought he was in danger of going completely down. Did you?
No.
He was getting tagged occasionally. Right. I just thought, and again, I'm a Manny fan, as you know, so I score every fight. I scored every round. I had him winning 115 to 113 just on activity, just on... He was much busier.
Yeah.
Now it's easy for you to say because you know the score.
No, but Skip, I mean, he's throwing... Skip, when you look at the scar, he threw 800 punches.
410 more punches.
410 more punches. But Skip, he only landed like 14, 15%.
Well, he did 13%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with that?
I'm sorry, 16. You're right, 16%.
Yeah.
He landed. That's landed. And then on power shots, Ugás landed 101 to Manny's 88. So on power shots, I give you that. But he's up against somebody that I didn't think he belonged in the ring with. Right. I thought it was something of a mismatch in size, strength, skill.
Right.
And game plan.
Right.
And game plan. And remember, Manny got thrown a big curveball. He wanted Spence Jr.
Right.
And all of a sudden, 12 days before the fight, he gets a detached retina. Hope he's going to be okay.
Right.
But that was going to be Manny's swan song fight. Could he pull off the huge upset over Spence? That's who he wanted.
No.
Right?
But here's the thing, though, Skip. A guy like Pacquiao, he just can't fight anybody. So in order for his name, he has to fight the top-tier fighters. Well, he's not at that stage now in his career where he can take on these fights and win these fights. Okay. He ain't beating Bud Crawford. He's not beating Errol Spence. He's not beating this kid.
I would like to have just seen Errol Spence Jr. Just what I've been on the edge of my seat.
Right. And I don't think Charlo really tried to sit down on his punches and knock him out. Because that's still Manny Pacquiao. You still got to respect him.
Yep.
He still can catch you with a shot.
Okay, one reason that arena was filled the other night, they'd already bought the tickets for what they thought was Spence.
Right.
But they all came out, and it looked packed to me. The announced attendance, 70,438.
Right.
Manny still is as big a draw, I'm talking about a worldwide draw, as there is in boxing. Yeah. And you can make a case he's one of the biggest draws. I'm talking about internationally in boxing history.
Because, Skip, you know what you was going to get. You know you're going to get a fight. He ain't all about that dancing. He ain't trying to move around the ring. Man, he's coming to fight.
Yep.
He's always come to fight. Win, lose, or draw. It cost him against the Marquez, Skip. He's beating Marquez. He's darting in and out. And Marquez timed him to dart in.
It was the third fight.
Yeah, and he catches him flush and he face plants him. You know he's going to fight. And the one thing you can say, Skip, he fought everybody. He fought Cotto. Everybody. You name him, he didn't dunk anybody.
Yeah.
Now, I think the thing is that the Floyd fight was about 5 or 6 years too late. I would like to see them fall earlier, but Floyd had his reasons, says, I don't think this guy is clean.
Yeah.
And Manny say he didn't like needles, and it happened, but I thought the fight happened years too late. But Skip, when you're an 8-division champ, you've been the fighter of the decade, you've been a 4-time welterweight champ, what else is there to prove? You've been a champ in 4 different decades. What else is there to prove? You're all-time great.
I can ask that same question about Tom Brady.
But, Skip, I think the thing is with Brady doesn't take any shots. As soon as Brady takes
it's possible he'll take shots. I thought he took shots at Chicago.
But see, what Brady does is that Brady feels the pressure. He'll go ahead and drop. Because remember, when he dropped and Khalil Mack still hit him, you see how quick he popped up. He's like, whoa, what are you doing? Skip, right there.
Okay, did Manny embarrass himself on Saturday night?
No,
he did not. He gave you every last ounce he had. And he threw everything but kitchen sink at Ugás trying to crack the code, and he just couldn't crack it. He is a wily fighter. Usually, Manny, but he only had the really 11 days to prepare, and he couldn't draw a beat on him. And then he talked after the fight about, my legs were tight. I don't know why his legs were tight. That doesn't mean they're old. They were just tight. He wasn't quite ready for this
Well, it's
fight.
hard, Skip, when you prepare. I mean, just imagine, as a team, you prepare for the let's just say for the sake of argument, you're preparing for the Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden they say, well, no, you're not going to play that team. You're going to play this team.
Yep.
It's a whole different mindset. That's why I always think the guy that is the last-minute replacement has an advantage because that guy was prepared for somebody totally different than what he's going to face.
He's going to fight Maidana on the undercard of this fight. Yeah. So as Manny said after the fight, in my heart, I want to continue, but I have to consider also my body.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, he does because I think he's going to run for president. He's going to announce that in September. And if he wins, and just knowing Manny's popularity, I think he'd have a real good shot. I don't know Philippines politics, but I'm going to guess he'd have a real good shot.
Right.
Well, if he wins, it's a 6-year term. Well, wouldn't that pretty much end it?
Well, he's been in Congress. He's been in the Parliament. And
but it'd be one thing to be a sitting senator, but
you run the whole country.
Running the country.
Yeah.
Could you stop to train for a fight?
No, you probably couldn't, Skip. But I don't want to see Tex Cobb against Larry Holmes.
Yep.
I don't want to see Manny get beat like that and then say, okay, yeah, Manny, now it's time to go.
Yep.
I think he's done everything you can possibly do. If somebody would have told Manny as a 16-year-old kid when he turned professional that this is going to be your career, but you're going to probably need to stop at 42.
Yep.
He's like, hold on, you mean to tell me I'm going to be the only 8-division champ in the history of boxing?
Okay, but also do not underestimate what a philanthropist he's been in his own country.
Yeah.
And when he fights, he makes a lot of money, and he can still command top dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of that goes back into his country to me. So that's one other different reason that he has to fight.
Yeah, he has some other philanthropy that his wife wasn't too fond of, that he got that resolved as he became more religious.
That's way back. That is truly ancient history. And he did have a T-shirt on the other night at the start, God's Warrior.
Yeah.
I believe he has become that. So he said also after the fight that he has only one regret about his career. He said, I feel so bad about that fight with Mayweather because I think the fans are not satisfied. I'm a Manny fan, and I'm not satisfied.
So now you want to see Manny and Pacquiao?
No, I don't, because it's just too late for that. And Floyd, obviously, as we saw against, who was it, Logan Paul, a couple months back, he tried to mail that in. He can't even mail that one in because he's not into it anymore. No. He's not training the way he used to train. He looks fine, but it's just not what you're right. It was 5 years too late. But remember, Manny in sparring tears his rotator cuff, and the proof was in the pudding. He had to have surgery the following day after this fight. It was Monday. It was a Saturday night fight. So the point was he tears his rotator cuff, and he basically fought Floyd Mayweather Jr. with kind of one arm tied behind his back because he couldn't power punch with his left hand.
Well, he wasn't going to beat Floyd anyway.
Well, he was going to beat Floyd, and there were those, including me, who thought he just outpointed. Well, there's a guy named Evander Holyfield who was pretty good at boxing, and he thought that Manny won the fight just on pressing the action because Floyd, he flicks and runs. He flicks and runs. He plays defense. He's the greatest defensive fighter ever, but I thought Manny forced the action.
Just because, if you run 10K, just because you lead the most laps and don't cross the finish line first, that don't mean you win the race because I led the most laps. The objective is just because you're aggressive, that doesn't mean you're winning the fight. Floyd was landing the cleaner of the shots.
I don't remember it that way.
I do.
I thought
Manny maybe you got hit.
Him.
Maybe some of those leaks were so vivid.
They jarred my TV.
Yeah, you
jarred my brain.
Like, oof.
Yep.
Dang, Manny.
Yeah. All I know is Manny Pacquiao has given me more boxing pleasure than anybody since Ali that I've watched. Because he just gave you every last gutty ounce that he had.
There was like a 5 or 6 year stretch, Skip, where he just got everybody out of the ring. There was no decision. He was getting people out of the ring.
Cotto.
Yes, Cotto. Made
Patton.
Flo Hatton. De La Hoya. De La Hoya's like, nah, I ain't even coming out here. I don't want no more of this.
He just ended it. He just said that's the end of De La Hoya.
I want no more of this.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was an incredible run, and I'm going to guess, because he has a chance to be the president of his country, I'm going to guess it's over.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that if he's fine with that. But if he wanted to fight again, I would be fine with that because I didn't think there was any shame in the effort and performance that he gave us the other night.
To go from flyweight to junior middleweight, Skip, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, that's a big jump. We see guys, Skip, go 4 division. We saw, Roy Jones Jr. go junior middleweight and go, 160, 168. He won light heavy, then he won the heavyweight title. But Skip, to go that look, I mean, and I think it's easier, Skip, to be a smaller man and go from 112 to 154 as opposed to 154 to go to 205 to be a heavyweight. But give this man credit, Skip. There's nothing else for him to prove. He's an all-time great. Whether you like Sugar Ray Robinson or Henry Armstrong or whomever, the Four Kings, Skip, the glory days of that.
Yep.
But he's an all-time great, Skip.
Final thought. You want to talk about coming from poverty? I don't know if anybody's ever come from worse poverty. He had to literally fight to eat, to get anything to eat.
Well, that's
just a street urchin.
That's what boxing. Yeah. The boxing, they get it out the mud, Skip. Ain't nobody coming no silver. You ain't never seen his parents had this and they came from the ivory, had an ivory tower. Nope. No, that ain't boxing. You might get that in some other sports, Skip. You might get a situation with Grant Hill where his father was a professional athlete, or Ken Griffey Jr., his dad was a professional athlete. But Peyton Manning, his dad was a professional athlete. But when you get these boxers, you more time than not, you getting a Mike Tyson story. You getting a Muhammad Ali. You getting a Manny Pacquiao. You getting those kinds of stories because it takes a different mindset to do what they do.
It does. Thank you, Manny Pacquiao.
No mercy.
Well, LeBron wants to make sure everyone knows he can still go out and get some buckets. He put an Instagram post on his story that had a stat and read, quote, from 2015 to 2017, LeBron went 177 straight regular season games without taking 30-plus shots. The next game he did, he scored 57 points on 34 field goal attempts. LeBron put the hushing emoji above and hashtag washed king below. Shannon, I don't know if you talk about your stats, but does he have a point?
That was for you. No. That was for you.
Really? Well, I got something for him in just a minute.
Skip, he does have a point because LeBron is really never just focused on scoring. He was always asked to do more than just score the basketball. Some of the more prolific scorers were never asked to be as complete. Kobe had Shaq to rebound. Jordan had Dennis Rodman to rebound. Durant had Serge Ibaka, had Steven Adams. He always had Russ to initiate the offense. Derek Fisher initiated a lot of the offense for the Lakers. KD always had Russ. So, yes, and it just goes to Skip when you look at it. When he shoots the ball 20 times or less, he's 51% from the floor. That's LeBron. 20 to 24 shots, he's 50% from the floor. 25 to 29 shots, he's 50% from the floor. When he takes 30 or more shots, he's 49% from the floor. So that just lets you know just how extremely efficient he is. Jordan shot the ball about 23 and a half times per game. LeBron James shoots the ball 19 and a half times per game. LeBron averages 27 points a game. Jordan averaged 30. So just by simple mathematics, even if you take he's going to miss the free throws, if you let LeBron shoot 3.5 more times per game, that puts him at 30.
Poor LeBron. So his coaches were saying, you cannot shoot.
No, Skip. No, that's not what they said. They say, LeBron, not only do we need you to give us 30 this game, but we also need you to give us 13 rebounds and 11 assists. Something that they in that game that he's talking about, Skip, I know you remember that game. That was the Washington game when he missed the shot, and then he kissed that thing, get off the... Okay, do you remember?
The lucky shot.
That wasn't a lucky shot.
It was the luckiest shot he ever made.
He caught it.
Off the glass falling out of bounds.
Out of bounds.
Stop it.
Can you imagine what he would have had if he...
I found.
He fouled out of that game, so he might have had 60-plus points. But Skip, all I'm saying is this. If LeBron James would have said, you know what, if his had been in situations where he could have just focused on scoring, like a lot of the elite scorers do, there's no question in my mind he could have had more opportunities to average 30 points a game. But that was never what he was always asked. LeBron, we need those 27 to 30, but we also need 8 to 12 rebounds. We also need 8 to 12 assists. So his mind just couldn't go on score because he also had to do other things. But I do believe had he taken as many shots as Jordan, he could have averaged 30 points for a career. No question in my mind.
Okay, so the object of basketball is to outscore your opponent, right?
Yeah.
So Michael Jordan looked at his teammates and he's like, I can score better than any of these guys, all of them combined. So I'm going to take more shots because I'm going to make more shots.
Yes.
I'm going to make these shots. He was the ultimate, as they called him, bailout guy at the end of shot clocks. Just give it to Mike and get out of his way because he's going to score it at the end of the 24-second clock. so that we can go to the other end and play defense.
Right.
So my point is that it's wrong-headed, because if LeBron was that guy, he would have just said, no, get out of my way. I'm going to score. If he wanted to average 35 a game, maybe they would have won some more championships.
No, Skip.
Why not?
Because, Skip.
Well, why would you distribute to teammates you don't have as much respect for?
Because you have to, Skip, because he had to help rebound. He didn't have a guy like Dennis Rodman that could go get you 30 rebounds in a game. He didn't have a guy like Charles Oakley who had 34 rebounds in a game and was a dominant rebounder. He never had that.
Well, he could have averaged 10 rebounds a game if he'd really concentrated on it, because he's 6'9", 260.
Yes.
Yeah, Michael Jordan's 6'6". So he's 3 inches taller and probably 30, 40 pounds heavier.
Michael was the scorer. He had other guys to do all the things that teams ask LeBron to do. He had B.J. Armstrong. He had other guys to facilitate. He had guys to rebound, like Weddington, like Cartwright, like Dennis Rodman. He had that. You look at the other great scorers. KD had Steven Adams. He had Serge Ibaka. Russ ran the point. You look at Kobe. Kobe did have Shaq. Let's not pretend Shaq didn't exist. Let's not pretend Shaq wasn't dominant. I love how y'all do it. When y'all want to talk about Kobe, y'all dismiss Shaq. But the moment somebody tried to say something, you bring Shaq into the equation. Well, Shaq existed in the Kobe Bryant era.
Well, he did win with Pau Gasol as the center.
So let me ask you a question. I want you to name one player that LeBron James has ever played with in his life. That's Shaquille O'Neal. Name one.
Well, I have Shaquille second on my all-time ranking list.
Okay, so I want you to name the player that he played with. That LeBron has played with. That's Shaquille O'Neal, because Kobe got that for 8 years. So what will LeBron be if he had Shaq for 8 years?
Well, I don't know. I could ask that about anybody. What if Michael Jordan had Shaq for 10 years? He'd have won 10 straight championships.
No. Because Mike's mindset was to score. It wasn't until Phil came and said, look, we got to get these other guys involved. And he talked about it in The Last Dance. He's like, nah, I kind of like doing what I'm doing. He was a solo guy. Skip, don't do that now. Don't pretend like in the 80s Michael Jordan went taking all them shots because he wanted to win a championship. He wanted to be a scorer. You know that, so don't do that.
He didn't want to be a scorer. He just wanted to win championships. So he went 6 times to the finals and won all 6 MVPs.
What about the 80s?
Yeah.
What about the 80s? Did they not have the championship in the 80s? Because if I'm not mistaken, Magic won 5 in the 80s and Bird won 3. So that left two remaining. Yep. So he could have won 2 of those. What happened?
He had to grow up. He had to figure it out.
He was already grown.
He had to get stronger.
No. See, he came to the NBA at 21. My guy needed to grow up because he came at 18. My guy needed to grow up.
Yeah, your guy, I thought, ran all those teams. I thought he was the unofficial head coach. So if he wanted to take more shots, he could have taken more shots. But he didn't want to take more shots, or he would have.
Because, Skip, he grew up. His coach taught him the importance. Yes, scoring is important, but doing other things is also important. Because when you look at it, which one of those guys, Kobe, Jordan, or Durant, averaged more rebounds? Which one of those guys averaged more assists? And he's right there with those guys as far as block shots and steals. So in other words, in baseball, they call that 5-tool. When you can do some of everything, hit for power, hit for average, steal, field, all that. He can do that. He's a 5-tool basketball player.
Okay. My turn. Now, I've let you go on and on and on. Now, the floor belongs to me.
Take it away.
I do not understand LeBron's new compulsion with posting gloat posts about, I did this, I used to do that, I could have done this, and I could have done that.
Could have.
I'm going to paraphrase the old Shakespeare line from Hamlet about protesting too much. He doth protest too much. He's protesting so much about what might have been, what could have been, that you can see that his phony GOAT case is slipping away right before his very eyes. So he has to keep posting like, remember me? I am the GOAT.
No.
I have a stronger GOAT case here than Michael Jordan, when it's just absurd.
That's not what he's saying.
That's what this is about.
No.
Yes, it is.
He's saying.
Well, what's the point about 2015 to 17? That's becoming ancient history.
No, but here's the thing, Skip, is that when we talk about elite and great scorers, you never talk about LeBron. Even though he averages more career points per game than Kobe, even though he took less shots per game. Even the Kevin Durant, he's right there with Kevin Durant. So when you talk about great scorers, LeBron James is never mentioned. And he's saying, guys, I'm a great scorer. I just don't shoot. I didn't shoot the ball like some of these other guys because I did other things. I rebounded, I assist, I blocked shots, I stole the ball. So let's not, in his prime, I say from year 3 to year 15, I'm going to take that up until when he left Cleveland. If LeBron James would have taken the same amount of shots as Michael Jordan, there's no question in my mind he would have averaged 30 points those seasons.
Okay. If Michael Jordan had played concurrently with LeBron James in this current era, if his 19 years, if they had overlapped simultaneously, Michael Jordan would have averaged 40 points a game with these rules where you cannot hand check.
But here's the thing, Skip. When Michael Jordan was averaging those 30s, how many times did he win the championship? Look at all those years in the 80s when he was 37 and 35 and 32 and 33. There was no championships. And then when it started coming down to the 28th and he started getting other people involved, what Phil had asked him to do, he started winning championship. So let me ask you this, at what price are you willing to say, I'm averaging 40, but winning no championship? When Will averaged 50, he didn't win. When he averaged 44, he didn't win. You look at KD, when he averaged 32, he didn't win. Harden averaged 36, he didn't win. So at what price?
No price. He would have won anyway. He probably would have won faster because they could take, the Pistons could take him out of games because they could play football with him. They could put their hands on him. They could keep him on the floor. Just don't let him launch was their motto. Don't let him get up in the sky because if he gets in the sky, you die. That's how it went. And so they kept him on the floor. They were called the Jordan rules because you could use your hands and they did not call it. So it was much harder for him to get past the bad boy Pistons or actually the bad boy Boston Celtics because them was some bad boys.
They were just as physical. They just, I think the thing is they get a pass, Skip, because the Pistons, they were just, when you talk about Mahorn and Lampier and Sally and Rodman, Skip, they didn't get a pass. But you look at McHale and Robert Parrish, and you go back and look at the highlights of how they were fighting. Even Bird. It was real close to playing football without pads. It was close. But here's the thing, though, Skip. The question is, you put Jordan in this time, obviously, in order for him to average 40, which I believe he probably could have averaged 40, Skip, but he's going to have to, the three balls, he's going to have to be better than a 32% three-point shooter because he's going to be able to get to the line. Because that's where a lot of it got because he was shooting the ball. I think he shot the ball the year he averaged 37. I think he was shooting about 28 times a game. Okay, now to my favorite LeBron topic, free throws or lack thereof. This is what just drives me out of my off-season mind. I would love to see him post something on IG where he's actually practicing and making free throws. That should be his off-season commitment where he goes in the offseason and says, you've already bet me that he's going to make 75%. He will not even come close to 75% because he doesn't work at it. He does.
He doesn't focus
500
on it.
a day.
Has to do all of his ab work and all of his ball work.
You're a hater.
And all that. Well, seriously, just shoot free throws.
He's shooting them.
He should shoot 1,000 a day.
500.
500 a day. I doubt he shot 50 in the whole offseason. He just doesn't do it. It's like it's beneath his dignity because he knows he's not very good at it, so he doesn't work at it.
That's why we work at it.
So would you believe that right now LeBron James has missed 1,625 more free throws than Jordan missed? 1,625. Would you believe that LeBron has missed the 5th most free throws in the history of this league? And guess who's above him? Big guys with huge hands. Wilt, Shaq, Dwight, and Karl Malone. Those are the 4 guys who have missed more free throws than LeBron James, a point guard by trade. He chose to be a point guard. Well, is he a 3?
Small forward.
What is he? Well, you told me that he chose to distribute, so I'm calling him a point guard. Point forward. Okay, so he's a point forward, whatever. Sometimes he tries to be a 2 guard, but whatever. He's the first guy on this list who's not a big guy, right? Wilt, Shaq, Dwight, Karl Malone, and LeBron James missed the 5th most free throws. That's horrendous.
How many more free throws did you say he missed than Jordan?
1,625 more.
1,625
more. Think how many
more.
points he left on the table.
And considering that he's 2,000 points ahead of Jordan, and he's still taking fewer shots. How is that possible, Skip? How can a man in 18
I'm just showing you
years...
how you could have been so much better. You could have made more of a GOAT case if you just made half of those, right?
I'm just trying to figure out, how can a man play 3 more years and still have fewer field goal attempts than Michael Jordan? How is that possible?
Would you believe the man that LeBron is now chasing, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, to be the all-time scorer in the history of this league? Would you believe that Kareem even has missed 412 fewer free throws in his 20-year career than LeBron has going into year 19?
Yeah.
So LeBron's on a horrendous pace of free throw misses that's even worse than Kareem's, and Kareem was, what do we give him, 7'2"? 7 foot 2 inches tall.
And guess what? When it's all said and done, he's going to miss more free throws, but he's going to have more points. He's going to be the first guy to ever, and probably the only guy, with 40,000, 10,000 assists, 10,000 rebounds, and at least, at the bare minimum, 5 championships with 5 MVPs. How you like that, Skip?
How many losses in the finals you can give him?
Whatever he got right now. Because he ain't losing no more.
Yeah. He's not going to lose anymore?
About to be 5 and 6.
Not, really. I don't think he's ever going to get back to another final, so he's going to...
Well, you said that when he first came to L.A.
Well, I didn't see the pandemic coming. I didn't see the bubble coming. I didn't see cubic zirconian ring coming. I didn't see it. I didn't know. Who could have guessed it?
It ain't no cubic zirconia. It ain't no cubic zirconia.
He got to take his team to the bubble and win.
Everybody else was in the bubble. You make it seem like he was the only one there.
Nobody else wanted to be in the bubble,
Skip, do you
Clippers.
realize in 50-point games, only Kareem and Jordan has a higher percentage of 50. LeBron James is shooting 59% in 13 career 50-point games if you include playoffs. Only Michael Jordan and Kareem have a higher field goal percentage.
I'm sorry, LeBron. It's over. The GOAT is done.
Ain't nothing over.
Ain't nothing over. Yes, it is.
45. Skip, it's going to be hard. A man that has 40,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists, 5 championships, 5 finals MVPs, he's going to be right there. He's going to be right there.
How's he going to win another championship?
Easy.
With Russell Westbrook? Are you kidding?
So if he does that, that automatically makes him the GOAT then, right?
That would start to make the case. I would give you that. That's why he chose this, because it's either I'm going to do something nobody else did, or it's his fault because nobody could win with Russ.
I sure wish I could. I wish Bron could have had a rebounder like Rodman. Man, I'd give anything for that. Or had a guy like Shaq.
Yeah, I wish Michael had a guy in the post.
Or a guy like Steph Curry. Man, what could LeBron have done if he'd have played next to Steph Curry for 3 years? What could he have possibly done?
Michael Jordan won championships with Bill Winnington as his starting center. You believe in that? Bill Winnington.
But Skip,
I covered Bill in Dallas.
Whoa.
I covered him at the Final Four for St. John's. Bill Winnington.
Yes.
He won championships with him. Yeah, he was a starter.
Yes. Bill Whittington on that with Walter Berry and Chris Mullin. I get all that, Skip.
Pretty good.
Skip, but here's the thing. The guys now, contrary to what the old players like to think, the players now are more skilled. Bill Whittington could not play now.
Nope.
Those guys, a lot of those guys could not play because the game has expanded.
Michael won championships with Luke Longley playing in the post. Luke Longley, remember him?
Luke Longley was better than Timothy Mossberger.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know about that. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. You really, Timothy?
Yeah.
Timothy.
Timothy wasn't bad. He had his night.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? LeBron got that man $64 million. Got Dellavedova $32 million. Got JR paid, got Sharpe paid, got Tristan paid.
Yep.
You do realize that, right?
All those guys were there that night, Game 4, at LeBron's Palace in Cleveland. 2015, had Golden State down 2-1, and he shrank.
So what about your guy when he had Golden State down 3-1?
Which guy is that?
You know. You're the best player on the planet.
Yeah, he had the Russell Westbrook handicap going on.
Now you see what you just did, Skip? Why is it when somebody else, if they're on a team, it's a team. LeBron don't get any credit, he get all the blame.
He's yours now.
Your guy put all the, why you put the blame on everybody else if Kevin Durant don't win? You put it on, these guys didn't show up. He was playing 105. When LeBron James was playing 105 basically his whole career in Cleveland.
His whole career? You mean with Kyrie and Kevin Love, he's playing 1-on-5?
When did Kyrie, let me ask you a question. When did he team up with Kyrie? 2014?
Yeah.
2014?
Yeah.
So can you tell me what he did from between 2003 and 2010 in Cleveland?
Okay. Yep. And what do you have to show for it? Nothing. Got swept by the Spurs? Really?
Oh, the Spurs, huh?
You couldn't even win one game?
So with Tim Duncan, who's the greatest power forward ever, who's easily a top 5 player, Manu Ginobili, who you said is the greatest foreign-born player ever, Tony Parker.
We're talking about the guy you called the GOAT. You couldn't even win one home game against those guys?
I remember a guy like, I know a guy.
You dismissed him as broccoli. You couldn't even swallow a piece of broccoli.
Jordan got swept twice.
No mercy.
At 44 years old, Tom Brady is approaching his goal of playing in the NFL until the age of 45 and has done so quite successfully, coming off a Super Bowl win, as we all know. Well, Peter King met with Brady recently, writing that in 2009, the QB told King he wanted to play until he was 41. In 2017, it became his mid-40s, and now King almost expects Brady to play past the 2022 season. So, Shannon, how many more years do you think Brady will play?
I'm going to say he plays this year and next year. I believe he finishes out the 2022 season, Skip, because his contract is fully guaranteed. So even if he walks away, he gets that money, but I believe he fulfills his obligation and plays. Skip, he's done a great job, barring the 2008 season in which he suffered that knee injury. He's been relatively healthy, and he's done a great job of protecting himself. He doesn't take the big shots that we see some of the quarterbacks. That shot that Justin Fields took on a Saturday. We don't see Tom Brady take those kinds of shots. Those are the kind of shots that a 40-year-old, 44-year-old guy can ill afford to take. He knows that, so he does a great job. Tampa has done a great job. He went to the prime location because, Skip, like I said, they got 7 guys. They're about to have 8 because Tom Brady's in the top 10. So of the top 100 players, the Buccaneers field 8 of them. You can make a case if you go to 110, you put AB and you put Gronk on there.
You would.
So they got 10 of the top 110 players in the NFL. That's a very good roster. And he said it. As long as I feel I'm a championship quarterback, as long as I feel I'm not a liability, well, hell, with that kind of talent, you can't possibly think you're a liability. They've done a great job. Tom Brady has done a great job, not only of understanding and still wanting to absorb and learn and have knowledge, but he's done a great job of taking care of himself, and he's in a great situation. I don't believe he could have played much longer than New England because the talent level is not what it is in Tampa. So, Skip, I think a lot of that decline that we thought we were starting to see wasn't so much him, it was what they had around him, and he was no longer able to elevate those guys because Edelman couldn't run. They had let Amendola go. Gronk was like, nah, I can't do this grind. I can't let you beat me up in practice, all this, and I want to be able to have fun. So he went where they got young talent, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, this young talent. Offensive line is good, and that defense is going to be good for a very, very, very long time. So, Skip, I'm going to say he plays until 2022.
I would also like to remind our viewers that you, Shannon Sharpe, Hall of Famer, have done a great job of motivating Tom Brady year after year after year here on Undisputed.
That's what he told me.
He told you that. You have tried to retire him. You have said that his arm is in decline. And year after year after year, he's said, no Shannon, no Shannon, no Shannon. Now he tells the great Peter King that, you know, I feel really good. Well, he should feel really good because all he did was have off-season knee surgery to fix a torn ligament that he played with last year. And as Peter King points out, that at age 43 a year ago, in a pandemic with no preseason, that he proceeded to throw for more touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes threw for last year and more yards than Aaron Rodgers threw for, and the Bucs won the Super Bowl by 22 points. What a year.
Yeah.
And what a year this could be for those same Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the great Peter King concludes, now I'd be mildly surprised if Tom doesn't play beyond 45, beyond the 2022 season.
Right.
I wouldn't either. He loves what he's doing.
Yeah, he does.
There was an anecdote where Peter King wrote it, where he was telling his son, you need to find something that makes you happy every day to do. And if you find that, you're golden, man, because I jump out of bed, said Father Tom, I jump out of bed every day. I love what I'm doing. He said his trainer, Alex Guerrero, jumps out of bed because Alex loves what he's doing. Well, he should because he's working with the GOAT, and he's keeping the GOAT upright. So that works.
Yeah, he gets paid. It's not so much he get paid to work with the GOAT. He get paid not to work with anybody else.
That is true. I would agree. So Peter King asks, do we realize exactly what we're seeing? Yeah. Well, I think we get numb to it after a while because he also points out that Wayne Gretzky was in decline at age 35 and out of hockey at 39, and Michael Jordan was 34, obviously, when he had his last great year, and Peyton Manning retired at age 40. Right. Woo. Do we realize exactly what we're seeing? I try to like pinch myself every day and say, we get to watch him and we get to talk about him because no one's ever done this and he ain't done yet.
Right.
And it looks like he's happier than ever in a situation that, as you detailed, I don't know what's not to like about this team.
Yeah.
I didn't love how Bruce Arians got on him publicly last year, but Tom seemed to just shake it off. He sort of was amused by it. And Jason Light keeps doing a better and better job, and they keep bringing back guys that I think they couldn't even. They go down to like Aaron Stinney, the backup guard who played down the stretch in the playoffs. They got him to come back, right?
For half of what he could have really got on the open market.
So they keep pulling off those little moves. Man, I don't know. Why would, again, I got to knock on wood because I hate to even bring it up, but he does play a collision. So what do you call it?
A collision sport.
Collision sport. It's not just contact, it's collision. Yeah. And he is going to experience some collisions this year. Right. And he needs to be able to survive them.
Minimizing those.
Yeah.
It's those big shots. You're not taking many of those Justin Fields shots, Skip, at 44 and think you're going to play more, you're going to play continued through the seasons. Yep. And that's the thing that Tom knows. He has a sense. You saw in Cincinnati, Skip, the guy got pressured like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to be able to get out here. Let me go on down, touch me down. We good to see another day. Yep. He's not going to have guys landing on him because, Skip, that's when you get the shoulder separations and the rotator cuff issues. Yep. He's like, nope. I'll go on down, you touch me, because if you fall on top of me, they're going to throw a flag, and you don't want that. So he's done a great job. Tampa had a great core of players, and now he's maximizing that. He's getting the best out of those players, and he's right. Peyton had the injury, or I believe Peyton was going to play until his later 40s. He was not going to retire had he not had that neck injury. Jordan, the situation with him, Skip, is that he played so hard on both ends. You don't be a 9-time defensive, all-NBA defensive player and a 11, 12-time all-NBA player because he has to play. And Gretzky, Gretzky was in the, even though he didn't get hit much, they was running into him too. But Tom, you have to, having played this game and knowing at 35, I didn't want to go to no more meetings. Yep. And I'm doing everything I possibly can. I'll probably go into the bathroom. Man, I got to go to the bathroom. Man, I got to go to the bathroom. I was probably spent the better part of my meetings in the bathroom when I was just sitting there, just thinking like, man, how can I get out of the meeting tomorrow? What do I need to tell somebody? And he loves it. I'm already thinking about, Skip, here it is a Wednesday, and I'm already thinking about Thursday, Friday, what can I tell BP now to get out of this meeting?
Tom Brady loves to go home and watch tape. Watch tape. That's what he does for fun. Yeah, watch tape.
But I missed a lot of programs watching tape. And that's what got me watching football games in silent, Skip, because there's no sound. Yep. So when you're watching game tape, there's no sound to it. So you just get none like, okay, you're supposed to watch everything with no sound. Yep. And here I am, I'm watching everything with just like, I can't do this. So I was like, nah, I'm done.
So you're sure about this year and next year?
I give him this year and next year, Skip.
And are you in concrete with that one now?
No, I'm not in concrete, Skip, but like I said, Skip, anything can happen, but I'm assuming he doesn't take the big hit, he doesn't have the injury, and that he plays, he's 44 now? 45. That was his goal.
But Peter King wrote about how his goals changed year after year after year.
But right? I think this has kind of been his goal, Skip. I think this has kind of been his goal for about, at least since we've come on this show, we've been talking about 45, and I didn't think he was going to get to 45. And I knew he was going to, but my thing was, Skip, I said, he ain't getting to 45 on Coach Belichick watch.
Nope. And yet Peter King concludes that They even went out and got him Giovanni Bernard, just a little scat back who's been around, who knows how to catch it out of the backfield. They didn't really have that man last year. I thought my little man from Vanderbilt, Keyshawn Vaughn, was going to be that. Kind of got doghoused at mid-year, but he'll come around. And he could be in the next 3 or 4 years the Geo.
Right. And they're talking about this guy they got out of North Texas that Brady is mentoring.
I know, now he's got a kid. Yeah.
And then say, I don't think, Skip, I don't know how much in New England Coach Belichick and the coaches allow the players to coach. That's our job. And Brady says, I go somewhere and somebody let me have an opinion. They'll let me say, well, this is what I want, this is how I get it done. So for me, Skip, like I said, he's playing unbelievable. He has weapons. They're a very, very talented team. But I'm going to say this year and next year, 45. And he's like, you know what? Who knows? He could possibly win a championship in the next 2 years and get it at 8. And I don't think anybody's ever going to get 8.
And Tom Brady might have just been watching you say that live and said, thank you, Shannon Sharpe, for motivating me again so I can play 3 more years. He just might have.
No mercy.
CeeDee Lamb can't stop getting attention going into his second year with the Cowboys. After lighting up training camp, Lamb now tops the list for favorite fantasy football players going into this season from one expert. And Skip has been high on Lamb since he was drafted and believes he'll take over the #1 receiver role for Amari Cooper. So, Shannon, what is your response?
Well, Skip, this is fantasy. This is based on they believe his production, his touchdown production is going to take a leap. I don't believe he's a top 10 receiver. That's just me personally. I'm not taking him over Tyreek, Devontae, D-Hop, Diggs, Ridley, Julio, Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, AB with a situation where he could be a #1, I'm not taking him over those. There's some other guys. A.J. Brown, I'm not taking him over that. Justin Jefferson, I'm not taking him over there. But, Skip, the question is, Amari Cooper, is he going to be healthy? Jerry Jones gave this man $20 million. You believe that he's going to jump Amari making $20 million because he's better or because Amari's injured?
Well, he's coming off ankle surgery.
Right, but they say he's going to be healthy. They say he's going to be good to go. He like that.
Looks like it, yep.
So I don't see that happen. Now, I do expect him to crack. I'll say he'll get 1,100 yards, 1,150 plus yards this year. I'll go that because he was slightly under 1,000 last year.
Yep.
So I believe they'll lean on him a little bit more. The question is, if Amari healthy, I don't see him jumping Amari. If Amari isn't healthy, that's the natural progression, is that he slides into the #1 role. That's why you see them starting to move him around and play some of the positions that Amari would normally occupy.
Okay. I tried to tell you this the day after the draft, right? The night of, I tweeted it. The day after, I came right in here and I said, you're now in trouble because I told you from the start he is going to be the best receiver in his class. And I know Justin Jefferson had a breakout, magical rookie year last year in Minnesota. I give you all the above. Although, do you remember that catch that CeeDee made against Justin Jefferson's team up in Minneapolis? Yeah. Do you remember that catch? I think we might have it.
You know we got it.
Oh, yeah, we do have it. Oh.
Talk about we might have it. You know we got it.
Circus catch. Is that any good?
Yeah.
That's what he does. That's who he is.
What about that one on Thanksgiving?
That was from Andy Dalton. God, was that any good? He 360.
He dropped one earlier. You remember he dropped
one. It was a big drop. He was a rookie. Yep.
Whoa. What about the one in Washington on Thanksgiving?
No, it was in Dallas.
Oh, that was in Dallas, right?
Jerry World, yeah.
You dropped that one too?
No, that was the only one he dropped.
Oh, my bad.
That was a big drop.
My bad.
Okay, so I tried to tell you this, and I also told you right out of the box, I said he will soon be #1 over Amari, just on sheer ability, just on sheer circus catch ability, just because he's a little better all the way around than Amari, who's really good. Yeah. Except he wasn't on the road in 2019. He's better than Amari. Yep, he's better than Amari.
No, he's not.
So what did Dak say in episode 2 of Hard Knocks as he was standing on the sideline? Unfortunately, he wasn't actually throwing the football. He was watching backup quarterbacks throw footballs, deep balls to CeeDee Lamb, who has been moved out of the slot to wide receiver where he belongs. And Dak said, that's an easy guy to throw a go ball to. You could hear him underneath saying, that's an easy guy to throw a go ball to. And he concluded CeeDee just walks underneath them. It's like he's moving so effortlessly. He's actually moving faster than the DB, and he just sort of walks underneath it and catches it. What did I also tell you? He's going to return punts this year, and you said, no, he's not. They can't risk it. He's just too good not to risk it. So what did he do on the first punt the other night on Saturday night? Who was back to catch it? CeeDee Lamb was back to catch it. So every once in a while, when you need the game breaker, you put him back there. The way Deshaun used to go back there.
Yeah, Skip, if you're backed up, let's just say you're down, say 3 points, or you're down 4 points, and you got the team backed up. Yes, I'll put him back there. But as an every down punt returner, you see they graduated from Deshaun. They graduated from Tyreek. That wasn't their normal. Early on, that was Deshaun. Every punt return, he was back there. Tyreek, every punt, kick return, he was back there. But as he got better at the receiver game, he was there too valuable. He's too valuable to risk it, because just a nick and you put him. Nah, it's not worth it, Skip.
Okay. So my man Field Yates at ESPN wrote this about fantasy football, and I'll remind you, Field got his start for the Patriots under Bill Belichick. Also went to Wesleyan, where Bill went to college, and Field Yates was a scout for the Patriots and then graduated up sort of to ESPN, and now he's a big fantasy expert for ESPN. And he wrote that now CeeDee Lamb is the captain of his fantasy favorite team. This is the player I'm most excited about in this group, one who oozes stardom in fantasy this season. Okay, so I don't play fantasy, but I know how it works, obviously, so I get your point. But we're still talking about high productivity from the wide receiver position.
Well, you do realize that, like, Tyreek has 17 touchdowns. Devontae.
Okay, I got it. By the end of this year, you will be telling me that CeeDee is a top 10 receiver. This will be his year.
How many touchdowns you say CeeDee has? Double digits?
I don't think that way. I don't think about, because I'm not a fantasy player, so I'm not thinking about how many. I just say in overall impact, by the end of the year, you will come in and sit in that chair and say, you know what? You got me. He is a top 10 receiver. He will be better than a lot of those guys that you put on that list, because this is going to be his sophomore breakout season. Yes, it will be. And as Field Yates goes on to write, it was an act of divine Dallas intervention that he slipped to the 17th pick. It was. I went crazy.
It wasn't no divine intervention, Skip. They didn't want him. People address needs.
But, well, they didn't need a receiver, and they took him because he's just too good. Would they have him 4th on their board, I believe, overall? And he says that, I believe CeeDee Lamb is the one heading for the moon this season in fantasy. His catch radius has a diameter comparable to planet Earth, which is true. He can catch it anywhere at any time.
Oh, my God.
Throw it in his area code, and he will catch it.
No, stop it.
You're going to see it. He got stuck last year with a bunch of, like a parade of backup quarterbacks, and they didn't have any healthy offensive line.
Let me ask you a question. Let's see. Is Tyreek stuck with a parade of... What about Devontae? What about Diggs?
Well, they weren't stuck with parade of backups.
Exactly. Yeah. Ridley.
Right?
Now Julio, Tannehill.
Yeah, if you put Tyreek in Dallas's offense last year, you've been just another receiver.
No, don't do that, Skip.
They couldn't get him the ball.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Skip, but like I said, I mean, look, he might, I believe he'll get you 1,100 yards. I believe he'll get you 8 touchdowns. But to crack that, Skip, to crack the top 10 wide receivers, man, he gonna have to take a monumental jump. Well, he ain't gonna catch rate has got to be Jupiter.
Okay, Jupiter. I'll give you Jupiter.
Yeah, that's what he got to be. He got to be the biggest fan. He got to be Jupiter.
Okay. Remember Jerry on Hard Knocks just raving to Michael Irvin about him? Another 88. Like, this is going to be his year. We just got to figure out a way.
I'm not talking wide receiver with Jerry.
Just put the ball in his hands. That's it.
Michael Irvin, okay. Mike geek. But Mike geeked about everything the Cowboys. Skip, you know that.
Yeah. Michael was pretty good at playing number 88 receiver, wasn't he?
He, of all the former players that love their team, Mike is number one. Mike, the biggest cheerleader of all the retired players. When they go back to man, like Mike, ain't nobody trying to talk about no Cowboys. I ain't trying to hear that, okay? So you want to talk to Cowboys, you need going back over there.
CeeDee Lamb, breakout
year.
We
gonna do it. Yeah. Stop, we gonna do it this year. This the Cowboys year.
Okay. All right, discount what he says. Focus on what I'm saying. I'm saying it.
You the second biggest.
No, I'm not. I'm objective.
You got You got cowboy shake curtains in your house.
I do not.
Yeah, you do.
I do not.
Okay, so why were they on when I came over there that time?
What time was that?
We did the show.
That was a long time.
Yeah, they were up.
You did come over.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And you had cowboy curtain.
There are a lot of people who came to that little gathering who are no longer around, right?
Yeah, you got cowboy curtains.
I do not have cowboy. That is a fabrication on your part.
It was some cowboy was up in there.
It was not.
T-shirts, jerseys,
Some
helmets.
of those, yeah. There are a few of those.
Yeah.
But no curtains.
No mercy.
Saturday, college football kicks off on Fox. It's that time of year, and Big Ten battle awaits. As dual threat Adrian Martinez leads Nebraska against Illinois. The action begins at 1 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Oh, and counting down the days. College football. But we also saw this. Ben Roethlisberger turned some heads during his first preseason game with new offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Big Ben went 8 of 10 for 137 yards and a pair of touchdowns in the Steelers' 26-20 win over the Lions. And over the weekend, Skip tweeted this: Ben Roethlisberger is going to have a big year. Shannon, what do you got there? How do you respond to Skip's tweet? Do you agree?
Hell, he had a big year last year. Threw 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns in 15 games. But his ability, you see how the ball hung up in there, Skip, on that deep throw. I'm not going to put a whole lot of confidence in this because the Lions did not start their front seven. And so Ben looked good. I mean, he was 8 of 10 for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, I don't know how good the Lions front seven is going to, the starting front seven is going to look. But Skip, until they push the ball down the field, and I see them consistently do that, but as we sit here right now and we discuss this topic, I still believe the Ravens and I still believe the Browns are better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, they had a little problem last year protecting Ben. Pouncey retired. They released Villanueva, left tackle, and DeCastro, guard. 2 of the 3 of those guys made the Pro Bowl last year. So it's going to be very interesting how they protect Big Ben. We know Big Ben is taking this year, he's high on the list as far as most sacked quarterbacks in NFL history. And with basically he's starting, 4, 5, maybe even 5 new offensive linemen. I'm going to say, I'm not convinced, but I'm going to say they don't make the playoffs.
Okay. So I watched this preseason game the other night. I get everything you said about the Lions didn't start him and him and him and him. But I tested Ben Roethlisberger, and he looked a whole lot like Ben Roethlisberger to me. He looked like a Ben who's turned 39, but is starting to figure it out the way Brady figured it out. He looks his body looks a lot better. I don't know what he's doing nutrition-wise. I don't know what he did the offseason exercise-wise, fitness-wise. He just looked better. He looked fresh, and his arm definitely looked livelier than it did last year when, I remind you, they somehow got to 11-0 last year. I don't know how, but he was throwing puffballs all year because he was coming off having 3 tendons repaired in his throwing elbow. That's no good. And I don't think he was quite ready to play last year, and he looks a whole lot readier this year. And this year, they gave him a new toy. They gave him the running back's best friend.
Now, I do like him.
He is something, man. You can just see it. You can just watch him for a couple of plays. You say, that young man can play.
I wouldn't be surprised if
We're talking about Najee
Harris. I wouldn't be surprised if he caught somewhere between 50 and 70 balls.
He can catch it. He can run it. He just looks like he belongs to the National Football League. He's not afraid. He knows how. I just like his body language. He looks like a veteran back as a rookie.
I think the thing is, Skip, last year because they could not run the football, it put more pressure on Ben to have to be better than what he really needed to be.
To your point, they were dead last in rushing last year. Dead last.
I mean, Skip, you can't be, at some point in time, you got 3rd and 1, you got 4th and 1. Skip, you can't be trying to throw the ball. You just got to turn around and just hand the ball out and say, go get me a yard, son.
Okay. So what did we see? Let's look at the throws that he made the other night. And the first one was, you can say it's lack of arm strength, or was it just a smart throw where he had to throw it underneath and between the DBs and the safety? It's a 43-yarder to Deontay Johnson.
Skip down like that.
Okay. But he dropped it right where he had to drop it.
Patrick Mahomes, that's a touchdown.
Is it?
Brady, that's a touchdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. You even gave Brady that.
Yeah, Brady, that's a touchdown. He go hit Chris Godwin or Mike Evans in stride. That's a tub.
But then he throws 2 touchdown passes to that rookie that they got in the second round out of Penn State, Pat Freiermuth. And could we see those 2, please? He throws a quick, that's classic Roethlisberger, big pump fake, and it faked out the TV camera. Yep. I thought it had a little mustard on it. And this kid's your basic 6'5" and you know he's a big red zone target.
Yeah, I think he's going. I think he's going to start over Ebron.
I know, but they still got Ebron.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They got Deontay Johnson, and obviously they've got Chase Claypool, and they still got that guy named Juju, right? So I think they got weapons and they got a running back, and their defense is pretty good.
Corvette moving a little slow now, though, Skip.
Yeah.
Them TikTok videos, I don't know. You might have to slow those down a little bit.
Okay, but if he's your third receiver, can he play? Can he contribute? Yeah, sure he can. So to me, Ben is looking like he just could be the best quarterback in that division once again. Well, he could be. So I'm a Baker fan. I'm a Lamar fan, but Ben is Ben, man.
And Lamar's Lamar.
Yeah. Well, is Ben not on the way to the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Yes.
But, Skip, Lamar is to be dealt with now.
Okay. But who would you trust under fire in a big playoff game the most in that division? If he's 94% healthier than he was last year, wouldn't you trust Ben over those guys?
I would, but I think the Ravens have a better overall team. We're going to talk about Baker, I think, a little bit here, Skip. And I think what the Browns have done for Baker, if they don't get it done now, Skip, they got one of the 2 or 3 best offensive lines. They got a solid running game. Odell's back healthy with Jarvis and Higgins.
Hey, they pretty much have it all.
They do.
I watched them yesterday.
They do.
Baker didn't play, but, man, they're just loaded.
But, Skip, if they don't get it done, it's on your guy.
Okay, I got that, and I agree with that. This is his big year, and he said something yesterday about I've tuned out all the noise. I don't think
he said it every year. Why you got to start your press conference off every year? I don't worry about the distractors. I don't worry about the haters. Every year, it seems like that's what you worry about.
Week 4, he's firing back at Colin Cowherd or somebody, right? Which is great. You know, great for us, but I don't think it's great for Baker.
It's not great for his team either.
Yeah, no, I agree. But again, Lamar has more to prove in the postseason. You know, he finally won a playoff game.
Right.
And then he came up a little short, but he got dinged up in Buffalo.
He's coming off of COVID. We see how that's going to impact. I don't know if he's going to play. This is the last preseason game. They get an extra week off, Skip, because normally they have 4 preseason games, so they would be playing another preseason game next week. But now, since there's only 3 preseason games, you get an extra week in between the last preseason game and the first regular season game. So I'm sure, is he going to play this week? Because he haven't played in the preseason. Is Harbaugh going to let him get a series, 2 series? Does he play at all?
Don't know. In the end, it's just hard for me to bet against a Mike Tomlin team with a pretty healthy Ben Roethlisberger. Just hard to bet against him. It's just too much.
The offensive line is going to be the telltale. Can they open holes for Najee Harris, and can they protect Big Ben? That's going to be the key, Skip. They lost some firepower on the offensive line. Pouncey is on the cusp. Pouncey is right there at a Hall of Fame level with all the Pro Bowls and the All-Pro appearances that he has on his resume. Villanueva's gone to the Pro Bowl. DeCastro was one of the better guards. And the Steelers no. Hey, moving a different direction.
Ben can dink and dunk with the best of them.
That's the thing.
No, seriously.
But at some point, you got to push the ball down the field, Skip.
All right. Well, I'll bet he will on occasion.
No mercy.
Damian Lillard remains a Portland Trailblazer, but the star hasn't said much publicly as trade rumors have swirled around the star's future. His teammate, though, CJ McCollum, said on a podcast that he talks to Dame every day and that, quote, he's all in. I think at this stage, I can say that he's all in. He just wants to win at the end of the day. Shannon, do you agree?
I do believe Dame is all in at the start of the season. But, Skip, can someone tell me the move that the Blazers made that's going to make them a serious contender? So Norman Powell.
That was last year's move, and that's going to have to stand as the move.
So that's you re-sign him. So that's your move. That's going to get you, because they were the 6th seed last year. So that's the move that's going to put you into the top 3, top 4 picks. Now, Skip, we saw guards. We look at the old Golden State before they got KD. They were basically what the Portland Trailblazers, a guard-led team. Draymond was different than Nurkic because Draymond could do some of everything. He's a better defender. He can handle the ball. He can do a lot of different things. But, Skip, I think it's going to be very, very hard for the Warriors or for Portland to do what the Warriors did in 2015, win an NBA title as a guard-oriented team, because you look at the Bucks, you look at the Nets, you look at the Lakers. I just don't. The Clippers, if Kawhi comes back at some point in time healthy, I just think it's going to be hard. That's why guard-led teams, it's hard for them to win titles. That's why we give so much respect to Steph, because he's a guard-led team. We gave respect to Allen Iverson, Skip, because he took as a guard. Yeah. Isaiah, Magic had Kareem, but when I talk about guard, Skip, Magic is really like in a class by himself. It's almost like he's like a different level. But Skip, when I look at it, they lose Cantor, who's a terrible defender, but he banged those boards.
He did.
He's giving you basically 8 to 10 rebounds on a nightly basis, somewhere between 8 and 12 points on a nightly basis. I believe I believe he starts the season in Portland, but I don't believe he finishes the season in Portland. I believe by the trade deadline, I believe he ends up in Philly. I'm gonna go with that. That's my gut. I ain't talking to nobody. I don't know nobody, but I'm just gonna go with that because Dame is tired, and I believe he wants to win in Portland. I believe all the guys that go to their original team wants to win with their original team. I believe if Dan Gilbert could have surrounded LeBron with the talent that could have helped him win pieces, I believe he stays in Cleveland.
Yep.
But they couldn't, and he didn't.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I don't believe they're going to be able to surround Dame with the pieces that he needs, and he's going to have to go link up with Joel Embiid.
Okay. You failed to mention one other acquisition of the Portland Trailblazers. That is the new head coach who you know very well.
Yeah, I know Chauncey.
Chauncey Billups from Denver, Colorado.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
I know Chauncey. I love Chauncey. I believe in Chauncey.
Yes.
As a basketball coach, I think it was a great move to hire Chauncey Billups to coach those two guards, because if anybody can take them up one more level to a championship contention level, Chauncey can do that. Fair enough?
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that.
All right. So it's also part of the equation of Chauncey, I think, wouldn't take this job. He wouldn't even entertain this job if he thought that CJ was somehow, not CJ, Dame was on the block, or both of them for that matter.
He's not on the block. They're not trying to trade him. He's going to put himself on the block.
Okay. Well, do you think he's going to talk his way out, force his way out?
Skip, like I said, I believe the trade deadline. Skip, if they're come trade deadline right after the All-Star game, they're hovering around 5th seed, 6th seed. That ain't championship contention. He wants to be in championship contention. He sees all these other guys, Skip, and that's something that he didn't want to do. But he didn't realize that everybody was going to go link up and he was going to be the odd man out. You see AD move. You see Kyrie and KD and James Harden move.
All right, the time to talk or force your way out was this past offseason.
No, Skip. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give Chauncey an opportunity. Maybe we can make a trade deadline. But like I said, I believe his best chance to win a title is outside of Portland.
Okay. Remember, Dame did show up at that WNBA game with LeBron that night while, you know, what was going on at Staples.
Right.
It was Chris Paul versus the Clippers with no Kawhi. But the point, that was the closeout night. Game 6.
Yep.
Okay, but Dame did show up with LeBron, which led to internet hysteria.
He's going out east.
Okay, going east to Philly. That is your prediction. I do not see it happening because I believe that Damian Lillard is very happy in Portland in the end. I know he has to sort of rattle his sword a little bit, his saber a little bit about, I want to do what all the great players do. But in the end, I think he's very comfortable being the biggest fish in a fairly small pond. That's who he is, what he is. And they do have a long shot chance of contending, but it's a long shot. But are they going to be a playoff team? Yeah, they're going to be a playoff team. Yeah, they're going to be a playoff team,
Skip.
Yep.
But it's hard when you're the 6th seed, you're the 6th seed, and you have to climb that ladder, Skip. I don't believe they can beat the Lakers in 7. I don't believe they can beat the Nuggets in 7. I don't believe they can beat the Suns in 7.
Okay, well, is there such a thing as this?
Yes.
Is there Dame time?
Yes.
Well, it's going to have to be that time.
But they're going to
take over a playoff series against the Lakers?
But Skip, against AD, against LeBron, against Russ, against all the weapons that they have, if Murray comes back healthy, they beat Skip. Remember last year, they beat Portland without Murray.
Well, Dame beat Russ once upon a time. There was no LeBron or AD.
Yeah.
There was a Paul George.
Right, you see? And Paul, glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
What he put on that.
Well, he got posterized by a last-second shot.
Yeah.
So I need to see that one level higher against a real team.
But the thing is, Skip, he literally didn't have to be that. Basically 7 games to beat the Lakers. The likelihood of somebody, I mean, look, there have only been a handful. You probably got to go back to Jordan or maybe Wilt way back or Elgin Baylor where a guy over a 7-game series averaged 40.
Yep.
I think Rick Barry did it.
Yep.
People don't realize how good a scorer Rick Barry was.
I do. Used to do a radio show with him in San Francisco. But he was something.
Yeah, Skip. But for me, Skip, I believe he's going to give Chauncey a chance. He's going to give the Blazers a chance. But then he's going to come to the realization, I ain't really got no chance of winning no title here.
I'm going to remind you of this. Russell Westbrook is capable of single-handedly beating a team and knocking his own team out of the playoffs.
It ain't gonna happen.
It can happen.
But get that something about this. There's something like Bron. He like chamomile. He's a calming effect. Yeah, man. I mean, you know how they burn them candles. It's like, man. You would come in there all angry and everything, and your candles burning. You smell
Really?
that?
Yeah,
Right.
Russ is uncalmable. That's what he is. He's uncalmable. Trust me.
No, he not.
I've seen too much. He's been around too
He's
long.
different.
What is he going into, year 14?
You're 14. You see him throwing the first pitch?
I did see that. It wasn't bad.
He all in.
It was a ball, but it
He all
wasn't bad.
in with the Lakers.
He got it
He's
there.
all in.
Yeah.
He knows this is a very important season.
Yeah, he's all in because he thinks he's Mr. Laker.
All hands on deck.
See that reddish hair he's got now? It's
Yeah.
like, look at me. I'm a star. I'm
Getting
back
out to
home.
a great, getting out
I'm
to
in
a great
Hollywood.
start. Got something for the Warriors first
Yep.
night.
Okay.
Opening night.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's
Beat them by
that's big
10.
of
2
you.
cases right now. Beat them by 10.
No, I'm not taking that. Golden State?
Yeah.
Is Clay even going to play? I don't know.
I don't think they say they're talking about Clay's not coming back until Christmas.
That's what I thought. Okay. Well, why would I bet you 2 cases? Do you want to just rob me?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be ridiculous.
But it don't matter.
Okay.
It don't matter.
All right.
We got
So,
something for your guys on Christmas Day, too.
I do believe that Portland will be better with Chauncey coaching those 2 guards, and I think they'll at least be a factor. And I think that
Top 4 seed?
Damian Lillard, I think they could be the 4 seed when all is said and done, thanks to Chauncey. I think he's really good at what he does, and you could not hand him a better roster to sort of
To start,
yeah,
correct.
to sort of tweak and get it up one more level than this roster.
4 seed. So you like the Jazz, you like the Lakers. The Clippers are questioned
they're
without.
not going to be they're going to be a lower seed because they're not going to have Kawhi obviously until who knows, maybe March, April.
What about Suns?
They'll be up in there.
Okay.
Yep.
Nuggets?
I don't know about the Nuggets. I'm not sold.
What you
Yep.
mean you ain't sold? They got Yo, the best big man in basketball.
No, that would be Joel Embiid.
That would not be Joel Embiid.
Yep.
Which guy got the hardware?
Well, it's because the other guy was hurt.
Which guy did not lose to an 8 seed? I want to know which guy didn't lose to the 8 seed
Okay.
at home
Yeah.
in a game 7.
They will get Ben Simmons fixed, and they will be a big factor in the East this year.
You keep telling me they're gonna get Ben Simmons
Yep,
fixed.
they're going to fix him.
Ben needs to
It's
fix
all
Ben.
in his head.
Yeah, okay.
It's definitely not in his body because he is a stud.
Yeah. He looked great in Portland.
Yeah.
No mercy.
Saturday, JD Martinez and the Red Sox take on the Indians at 4 Eastern, and then at 9, MVP candidates collide as Fernando Tatis Jr. and the Padres take on Shohei Ohtani and the Angels, all on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. So the Jets and Packers had joint practices last week leading up to their preseason game over the weekend. And Zach Wilson caught the attention of Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers said during a mid-game interview that Wilson can, quote, throw the heck out of it. This comes just days after Wilson's teammate Josh Johnson compared the rookie to Rodgers and called him special. So, Shannon, do you see special right now in Wilson?
I did, Skip. I watched a little bit of the game. And I'm not getting caught up in, he didn't do the level of competition that he played against. But if you watch the throws that this kid can make and how he can flip his hips, Skip, he has the potential to be special. Now, I don't know how well they can protect him. I like the Corey Davis addition. They're going to need to get some more pieces around him, Skip. But he can make throws. He can change platforms. He can get outside of the pocket and make throws on the move. That's very few quarterbacks can do. He can roll left and throw the ball with accuracy, Skip. Skip, this kid has special on him. Now, I don't know if he's going to fulfill that talent, but if you watch him, just watch him throw the football. And forget that, well, that's not Zadarius and Preston and Jair and all these guys not out there. But if you just watch him throw the football, he's special throwing the football.
Zadarius might not make it for the opener.
I saw that this morning.
Okay, I'm not ready to go special on Zach Wilson. I'm maybe a little bit a prisoner of what I saw last year. I would see bits and pieces of his games, and then I watched the whole game at Coastal Carolina, which they got thrown into neutral site in South Conway, South Carolina. And he was a little hit and miss for me in that game, and they lost 22-17. Wasn't terrible, but wasn't great. And as I watch him in the preseason, what I'm seeing more and more of, he's at his best when he's on the move. So he needs to go off platform. When he's on platform, sometimes he's not that accurate. When there's a gimme pass, a Brady-esque, I'll take that because the defense gave it to me, he misfires. So he's a little bit off. But, man, if you let him move, because a couple of those throws the other day, he would move, and all of a sudden he just plants and whips, and he does have a special arm.
He might have the best arm.
I don't think he's better than Trey Lance's arm.
Skip, he might not be an overall better player, but as far as being able to move and throw the ball with accuracy on the move, that throw that he hit Corey Davis on the sideline.
Let's see those two to Corey Davis. There's a 24 and then a 27. Not sure which one comes first. This is 24 yards. That's just a rifle shot. That's
beautiful.
Sweet. That's good.
Yeah, that's on rhythm.
And this is the one we're talking about where he says, well, I got to go here, I got to break it, and then I got to whip it, and that'll work.
That's Patrick Mahomes.
And that's what Aaron Rodgers loved the most. Here are the touchdowns.
Look at that.
To Croft. Okay, that'll work.
Put him on his backside. So
he did.
Look at it. Look how he get his hips around so quick. Skip, look at
him on a tight end screen and got him loose for a touchdown. Okay, did you run tight end screens? Did you? Did you?
We call it down flat.
Okay, well, that'll work. Okay, so I love what I'm seeing. I don't. The problem in this league is if you have to keep going off platform, after a while that will bite you in the butt because they're just too good.
Skip, it's gonna bite him. Just like Mahomes makes some plays like the other night. Sometimes you just throw it away. You can't make everything.
He ran to the sideline and just threw it in the end zone, threw it to the wrong team.
Gotta go pick it. And he's gonna make some plays. He's gonna get some plays picked off. He's just gonna have to decide, you can't make every play. In college, every play that he tried to make, he can make. You can't do that in this league. These guys are too good.
But I can see where Aaron would sit back and say, okay. Okay.
Especially watching him in practice. Can you imagine just sitting back watching him in practice? And it's just like watching Aaron or watch Patrick Mahomes just throw the ball in practice. And you can see okay, that's different.
Do I think he has Mahomes' arm? I don't. But I'm sure anybody has that. It's not a Josh Allen type arm.
No.
But I do think he's going to be legit. What I like the most about him is he has body language confidence. He has poise beyond his years. He is not afraid. Even Trey Lance, who hasn't played much football in his life, it gets a little overamped. I have not seen overamped. But I do think as they struggle, as they naturally will within their division, because they're going to have a hard time with New England, Buffalo, obviously, and Miami for what that's, I'm not saying he won't be better. I think he can be better than Tua, but will he be immediately?
You saw Tua Saturday, right? You saw Tua Saturday, right? Okay.
He throws puff passes.
Don't do that, Skip.
Like Ben Roethlisberger when he was hurt.
You saw him put that zip on the ball. But I was surprised. I did not expect Zach Wilson to be this good this early from what I've seen, especially coming out of BYU. And like you said, Skip, the level of competition. Because I'm like, okay, he stepped up a level. I'm like, okay. But watching him the other day.
All right, so I am already ready to declare that a guy I did not love going into his draft, Sam Darnold. I'm saying that Zach Wilson is clearly going to be better than Sam Darnold.
But
is it? That's not going to make Carolina feel real good right now.
Well, what did they expect? They're the one that took him and had an opportunity to get a quarterback and said no. They could have moved up and got a quarterback. I don't know how high they would have had to go, because I don't think any of the top two, Skip, was going to move. I don't think they're moving off Trevor Lawrence. I don't think they were moving. They were never. It seems to me, Skip, he was always number two.
Concrete.
No mercy.
Opening night of the NBA season. will be October 19th with some marquee matchups. First, it will be KD and the Nets taking on Giannis and the defending champion Bucks. Then it will be LeBron and the 2020 champion Lakers squaring off against Steph and the Warriors. So, Shannon, did you want to see LeBron against Giannis at opening night?
Skip, I don't think the NBA wanted anybody to travel cross country. If you notice, everybody's pretty much close by. Golden State plays the Lakers. Nets going to the Bucks. I mean, I don't think anybody wanted to see the Lakers traveling cross country or the Bucks traveling cross country. These butt cuttings are going to happen in a timely manner. You don't have to rush this. You're going to get exactly what you're looking for.
Wait a second. They didn't want to send LeBron and Russ and AD to Giannis? Wouldn't that be the marquee matchup?
No, you got what you call them. Y'all got the Nets.
You know what? Now I get it. The NBA is just saying KD's team is much better than LeBron's team and a much better draw than LeBron's team at this stage.
Who got the primetime game? Who got the primetime game?
Against Golden State without Clay?
Steph and Bron. Who got the most?
Steph's got no shot.
Let me ask you a question. Who got the most televised games this year?
Well, why not game number one?
We got it, us.
Yeah, but it should be at Giannis. Once upon a time, LeBron would have been at Giannis, and he's not.
We don't travel. We make people come to see us.
Really?
Yeah, we
you have more home games than anybody?
Yeah, you know that. You see that? Yeah. Our first 3 weeks, we might not leave but once.
Prime
Okay.
time,
Way to go.
Better.
You're a hater. You want us to get on the road, think we gonna lose. We not
That
losing.
is it for Undisputed. Skip, Shannon, we're back same time tomorrow morning. The Herd is on now. Have a great day.